Hello and welcome to tutorial 6 of the HTML Basics series. Originally this tutorial was meant to be starting actually creating the website and showing you what it's going to look like, but then I forgot that we hadn't covered, we'd covered links and we'd covered images, but we hadn't sort of put the two together, and I didn't know whether to show you that before we started or show you it as we went along. Then I thought, well, I'll show you now before we start. But to get, it's called a rollover image, and you may have seen them. It's when you have an image on a website and you move your cursor over it and it changes slightly, or it might change completely. But to do that, it requires a little bit of JavaScript. And it is only a little bit, but it looks a lot when you do it, and it's not really something I might cover it in the JavaScript tutorials, but we'll just stick to a basic links, images and text website rather than doing rollover images. But it does give me a good opportunity to talk about image sizes and things like that. So this is the code when I put a bit of JavaScript, and you can tell because this is the script that makes it run, and basically what it's doing is loading two images at the same time in the same place, so you don't have to wait when you roll over the image with your cursor. You don't have to wait for the second image to load, and it needs a little bit of JavaScript too. And some of the JavaScript is really easy, it's one line, but for this it's sort of, well, it's kind of all that, and it goes well. Anyway, so I didn't think that this was the only real bit of HTML that there is, which we'll be able to, if I can work through this bit of HTML. But the easiest way, if you want to do a rollover image, I would suggest is to download Adobe Dreamweaver from the Adobe website, which I did cover in tutorial 1, and that's just got a really simple, in fact I can show you, so if we go into HTML, new HTML document, but the problem I don't like with, the thing I don't like with Dreamweaver is that it puts in a lot of things that you don't necessarily need. Like for example, to start with, there's a meta tag in there, and that I wouldn't put that in, and different things like that. Anyway, the easiest way to do a rollover image, it's really quick, really easy, really simple, is when you're in Dreamweaver. This is CS6, but it's the same I think in every version from CS3 onwards really. If you go to Insert, when you click where you want your image to be, so your cursor's blinking, then go to Insert, Image Objects, and then Rollover Image. And I might as well just show you really quickly. It brings up this dialog box, and we can in fact go to, that's the previous tutorial, we can go select your first image, which will be the one that will load first, and then the second image. And that's basically just telling me that it's in a different path altogether, and I haven't saved the document yet. Make sure preload is on, otherwise they'll be waiting. Alternate text we've covered, and that's basically a link, so if you want to link to a website or something, you can add that in there, and then it will appear. But I'm not going to do that because I'm going to show you what it'll look like, hopefully by just double clicking this index file, and it will open up. I did have a bit of trouble getting it to load both of them, but it'll start off with a koala, and I've just noticed something as well. I need to talk about image sizes for the internet. Image sizes, don't make them too big and don't make them too high quality. You wouldn't want a picture that is 4 megabytes or something, and you won't want one that is 1024 you won't want an image that's any bigger really than 1024 by 768 in pixels, which coincidentally I watched. Yeah, this is what happens when you roll over. It changes, and you can have a link, so you click it and it goes somewhere. But yeah, that's what these are, and as you can see, they are plenty big enough. You know, any bigger than that, you're really wasting time. So, and I'll just show you the contents of both these images put together are 1.5 meg. So really, you're aiming for less than a megabyte per image, way less, and then you'll be fine. And you can sort of see the effect it has on. I've got it open several times, but you can see the effect it has on a server. For example, this has been uploaded to the internet, this one, and this is the exact same document, and if I load it straight from the server, you'll see it takes a few seconds on a fast internet connection to get it even that big, but you wouldn't have a rollover image anywhere near that size anyway. Basically, don't make things any bigger than they need to be, otherwise it just results in longer load times for your visitors. It doesn't really have an effect on anything when you're doing it locally, like we are here, doing it off the hard drive. But when you are doing it on a server, like this is the exact same page but hosted on the internet, which you can go to, by the way. There's a link in the description if you want to view this page. I don't know why you would want to, but if you want to, it's down there. And if I do a hard refresh, you can see it takes 3 or 4 seconds. And if I do a hard refresh, you can see it takes a good 2 or 3 seconds longer than it should, because the images are so big. And actually, really, you could go a lot bigger. You get to a certain point if you just keep typing numbers in. So if you had it, for example, this is 1024 pixels by 768 pixels. But if you had it, say, 60 times bigger than the actual images are, then it just won't load. Basically, you'll end up with a blue box, a very small blue box in a corner, and that's how you know that there's a problem with. It's too much for servers to handle. I don't know whether it would load it. In fact, we can just try this live, shall we? So if we, for example, made it, where are we? A width of, let's say, 11,024 and 7,168. So if we save that and then open it, I'm guessing that'll be too big for. No, it's done it locally, and as you can see, this is the exact same image, but it's looking very pixelated because it's having to stretch it now. Let's see how big we can go, or whether there are any limitations. Let's add another 0 to that, and let's add a 0 to that. I think that if that doesn't break it, nothing will break it. And amazingly, it's still loaded. So yes, if you, and yeah, you can see I'm dragging all the way to the end. But if you're doing it just to practice, you can do them as big as you want, really. Although it probably will warm your computer up if you do a picture that is 110,000 pixels by 71,000 pixels big. But if you're doing it for a server, then keep them as small as you possibly can. They're usually used for buttons, not pictures. They're usually used for navigation buttons like home, about, contact. And I was going to use them in our website, but because it takes so long to run through all these functions, I'm just going to use basic normal images with links attached. And actually, there is a website that I used many years ago, and I did search for it, and it still exists, called Cool Text. So if you enjoy creating images, creating logos and buttons and things, then you can use that. If you don't and you want it really quickly, there are several different designs. Actually, most of them are quite old and out of fashion. Well, massively out of fashion. Animated buttons now are not in, and they probably will just slow your website down if you have a lot of them. So try and keep away from, like, for example, the burning one that burns like that, because they're just, you don't see that in a professional website. Same with the animated glow one and all these different ones here. But there are still ones. For example, this plain one is okay. That basically looks like a Windows button in a way. And there's quite a few different buttons that are okay still here, I suppose. But you want it to be readable, don't forget, you want it to be readable. I have used that glossy one a couple of times. That's the only one really I've used. That one's an old one. Quite a few of them actually are from 5 years ago when I first started using. That one's an old one. Carved. Fire is an old one, but at least they've stopped the animation on it a lot. They all used to be animated to start with, and it used to be a very laggy website. And also, so let me just show you quickly how you use this site. If we pick that plain one again, actually, so you click the button that you want, and it's very simple, very easy. You can type your text, and it will change in real time. You can choose your font. There's loads font sizes. So if we wanted, say, 50 rather than 20, keep it 20 if it's a button. But this is just for demonstration purposes. And I want it bold as well, for example. We go down and you can change everything, width, height, everything like that. And that's your button basically. You can save the picture like that, or if it's I think if it's an animated one, the best thing to do is hit the create button, and it will basically give you download links. You can get it emailed to you. Just get the HTML code straight away, so you don't even, I think, let's see actually. Oh, you have to register for that. Yeah, basically they will host your images for you if you want, but it'll only be buttons. I've never used that service. I've just downloaded the image and then saved it, and all the images as well that are on there, they are free for you to use in any way you like, and you don't have to give them any credit at all. But there are other websites, plenty of other websites. If you use if you do a Google search for button generator or something like that, website button generator, there are quite a few of them. But this is just one that I used. There's a festive one there. This is a website I used probably 6 or 7 years ago, or longer. Yeah, it was probably about 7 years ago that I started using this, and it was pretty good when I started. But yes, hopefully in the next tutorial, sorry for this one being so long by the way, but in the next tutorial we will actually start getting our designs together for our website, minus the rollover buttons, unfortunately. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in tutorial 7.